Join me in welcoming Mr. Hiroki K.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kay from DMM Futureworks. It's a great honor to be here. I thank everybody for letting me and our company to speak in front of you today. So briefly, I would like to start off by a quick introduction of our company. We've done VR theaters, just like Mr. Pak has introduced yesterday, a very similar system. So I'll go quickly through the technology and our theater, a very quick look. Okay, and boom. There is no sound for license issues, but just the image. This is our theater in Yokohama. We built this theater in 2015, September, so I think we were one of the first to make this kind of theater as a permanent theater back in Japan. We've done a lot of character stuff, animation stuff, but recently really focusing on music shows, and I'll go into the reasons why for this forum. So today, I'm not here to promote my company. Actually, because we were one of the first VR theaters in the world, we want to share with you our experience, mostly the mistakes that we made throughout the course of our business, so that anybody coming into the business won't make the same mistakes. And we'll try to share with you the solutions that we came up with so that we can all together make this business into a sustainable and mature business. Let's skip this again. There we go. Okay, so briefly, I think Mr. Pak also spoke yesterday, but hologram, it's not the actual hologram that we know, like in Star Wars, where we see Princess Leia in the front of us with laser. Speaking with university professionals, they're saying that maybe in 50 years we'll have that technology, but currently what we're doing is playing a trick on the eye. Okay, skip that. This is some pictures from our interior of our theaters in Yokohama. Okay, so this is the stage that we use. So as you can see, the pink screen that you see there is the LED panels that are laid on the floor, which reflects light and images onto the half mirror screen, the blue one, and that's how you see the images in front of you. And on the back of the stage, you see a the green with the green lines is where you project the background. So you kind of get a holographic effect. So, but this is only a trick on the eye. It's not real holograms, but we kind of use the term to market this technology. And we've been using the state-of-the-art LED screens, but now it's been 3 years, so there are better ones out there. And I think the cost has gone down slightly since that we purchased. So this is good. Okay. And also a big part of the atmosphere is the sound system. So we implement the 9.1 channel, which is a very good source to really create the world. I think maybe sound is about 70% of the world you are immersed in. So sound is a big factor. So we rely heavily on sound effects to create our atmosphere in our theaters. Okay. Another thing that we really experimented is the lighting. Because the characters are only CG on a half mirror screen, it's really difficult to blend real lighting from above the stage. But we simulate the light effects onto the characters, so it makes it more look real, believable. This has been something that we've been focusing on pretty heavily from the start. So Now back to my main topic. So running the studio, the theater for 3 years, from 2015 to 2018, we really faced a lot of issues, mistakes. So hopefully we will be able to share with you. First of all, we did some big shows. I can't show the reels due to copyright and license issues, but we've actually used famous musical artists, famous manga IPs, and made it into plays in the theater. These are nice shows, but the cost of these shows will go in the millions of US dollars. So ongoing production costs has always been an issue for us, and I think many theaters will face this issue because number one, CG animation is very, very expensive, and the production time is very, very long. It could take about 6 months to even a year to produce a high-quality CG animation for 60 minutes. And the budgets could go up north in the 2 million, 3 million, even the 5 million range. And also, to recoup those costs, you really need a big number of theaters to recoup the costs. For us, I think maybe if we have about 5 to 10 theaters, it will start to break even and let us continue. But if you only have 1 or 2, it will become a serious issue to spend all this money up front on the CG animation. Third of all is that the VR theater is not a movie theater. This is something that the creators really have a difficulty to understand first because they always worked with cinema cameras. They have this fast cutscenes or up close, but because this is more like a live stage, like an opera or Broadway, you can't really use that camera to tell the story. So this is one of the difficulties that our CG staffs and the CG studios that we worked with always faced, how to tell a story on a live stage. And the live stage people really don't understand CG, so this is a challenge that we've been faced from the start. Okay. So until we have lots of VR theaters in the world and a lot of CG staffs that understand the storytelling of this VR theater stage, and also until we have lots of finance, what shall we do to sustain these VR theaters? So we came up with a few interim solutions to help sustain the business, sustain the studio, sustain the theaters, so we could expand in the world and also gather content to make it exciting for the fans. So one thing that we're trying right now is we have local idol groups in Japan on the stage with VR effects. I think I don't have the video for this right now, but I think we saw on the reel earlier, we put live action artists, idols on stage with the VR effects. And this was pretty popular, and the benefits of this is that you could really cut down on the CG cost by 1/10. Maybe in Japan, it will only cost about 50,000 US dollars to produce a full effect for a whole show, about 1 hour for a music live event, which is a huge cost cut. And also, you could save time to prepare the effects. It only takes about 2 months at most for one live music show. So it really cuts down on the production time and also the production budgets. And also, because these are live talents, you have a very wide variety to choose from to put in your show. Against, if you're making a film, you have to plan out maybe a year ahead, and once you make that decision, you can't really change it around. The downside, the cons of having a live performance is that, obviously they could get sick, they might get injured on that day. So those are issues, booking issues that the theaters will need to learn. Another one is that now not using real humans, but using virtual characters, famous manga characters, famous anime characters on the stage and doing the same kind of music live events. It was also really well accepted to the fans back in Japan. I think music can play a key role on the content side of this VR theater. Plays we've done, they're nice, but it also takes a lot of time to prepare. It's more complicated, so just doing a music show, a concert with these virtual characters is a very cost-effective and time-saving method to prepare contents for your VR theater. We've been now experimenting with real-time capture. and also using fiber network so we can capture the performance from an off location, very far away with very low latency. We work with NTT Docomo, NTT, and also MBN is a real-time capture system. We've been experimenting right now. It looks pretty good. The only thing is the cost is a bit expensive at the moment and back in Japan. The NTT Azonet, it's pretty much free to install, but every time you put on a show, you have to pay a certain amount, which is a bit expensive at this current moment. But when the fees go down, I think this would be a new method to record the, capture the performance on an offsite and send the data to multiple theaters around the world. So this is one thing that we're experimenting right now. Hopefully in the future, we'll have more shows using the real-time capture and the NTT Azolink back in Japan. And the third solution that we have come up with is making the content not 60 minutes, but only under 15 minutes, which will really fit the attraction genre, like in theme parks or exhibitions, where it's not really ticket-based, but it's part of the program, and 15 minutes will be enough for the audience to enjoy. This, again, will really cut down on the production costs and generate revenue for the partners that are involved. So I think this is a very good option for us to take, and we are heavily pushing this route right now. We've done so many 60-minute to 80-minute shows, and these are very, very tough to sustain on a monthly basis. So I think these routes will be a very viable option for the VR theaters to go on and keep on their business in a very healthy manner. And the fourth option is that we are finding that the audience actually wants to be on the stage. So we are experimenting how we can get the audience on our VR theater for them to be on the stage, be in the lights, be in this virtual world. In our current setup in Yokohama, we have the half-mirror screen, and we have a lot of expensive equipment lying on the floor or on the wall. So it was a big challenge for us to figure out how to safely get the audience on the stage for them to be on the stage. So that's something that we're working on. I'll introduce the new theater that we are designing. But I think the fans will love to be on the stage, and let them take pictures or videos on the stage will be a very big benefit in how to use the theater running forward. And another thing is that just relying on VR theater alone, it's going to really limit the business. So we are now trying to create original contents and original IPs so that we can diversify our revenue stream and business model. So we shall make an animation out of the IP or video game out of the IP, make merchandise, and VR will be only the part of the IP. So this is one thing that we were challenging next year. So we'll see. And also going after the overseas markets. We've been really focused on the Japanese market until now, but from next year, we will try to go over into the overseas market as well. Okay. And so as a real-life example, I'll introduce the new project that we have in China. This is a theme park to be opened in 2019. It's a very big theme park, and the owners of the theme park wanted to have a VR theater in their facility. So what I discussed before, all the issues, the problems, we want to fix that and address that and try to implement into this new theater that we will build in China next year. Okay? So this is one of the early designs right now. What we were trying to do is try to make a hybrid VR theater so we can have live performances on the stage and still using holograms. And also we're creating the space for the audience to walk through the stage and let them have fun on the stage as well. This is a very early design. We're still doing the rough designs right now, but as you can see, we have the ceilings higher than before, maybe double the space. We have stages in front of the screen, a larger space, so that the performers can perform in front of the screen, the half-mirror screen, or behind it. And we're making safety regulation designs as well for the audience to really safely pass through. So this is still early, but we will try to complete this by the end of the year and make this happen by 2019. Okay. And for creating the new content for this new hybrid theater, we wanted to meet some challenges. One, as I said, we want to create original content so we don't have to pay the hefty IP fees. And also, to make the new creatives, we wanted to invite a diverse creative team that we've never done before. We wanted to bring young staffs, like students, into the production team. We wanted creators from all around the world to join, and also from all kinds of professions. We have motorbike companies, automobile companies, publishers, universities gathering to share their input on what we could achieve with new technology and on the creative. So one example for today, we've actually hired or used real high school students to be on the creative part, how to create the content. And if you may, I would like to introduce the student. He's called Jonathan. He's here with me actually today. So if you can welcome Jonathan from high school to share his input. Jonathan, can you come on stage with me, please?
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Johnson. It's an honor to be the assistant of Mr. Hiroki and be engaged in the program for the past year. So, I've always been a huge fan of animation and have watched a lot of great works. And I always dream of designing my own characters that will represent my worldview and introduce it to the world. So right now, I represent part of the young generation to introduce the market of animation to adults from an adolescent's and the viewer's perspective. So for my presentation today, I'm going to talk about two parts. The first is my involvement in the creation and development of characters, and the second is what I learned through the process. So my involvement. So for our anime, the Lucid Game, we think the character needs to fit into the conflict, the setting, and the plot. In our anime, the Lucid Game, we believe it will be awesome for a character to have a classic high school environment combined with a high-tech robotic and game element that will create outstanding chemistry. Well, why do we choose such elements? Well, it's because we think that will bring the characters out, make the characters stand out. For example, the characters can have his unique relationship with loved ones, with the society, and with his friends. With the external environment and the supporting characters bring out the characters more alive, as they show how they're viewed from the outsider's perspective. And with the contrast between the internal and external environments, we bring the viewers closer to the characters as they share the daily pain and joy of the character. Also, we believe a high-tech game and robotic element will add spice to the mundane school life. It is a world full of imagination and action people may immerse into after school. It's sort of like the movie Ready Player One, if you haven't watched it. And we think the impact will be unimaginable as we share the connection before. And our main character, Yui, is someone just like this, and with the techniques I just mentioned, we're doing everything we could to make her more attractive. But what is the purpose of making such a character more attractive other than the purpose of making the anime successful? Well, because we see something that we can potentially do, which is to bring Yui upstage for live events and for concerts. That Yui may one day go upstage on the VR stage to interact with her core friends, with the audience. And maybe one day Yui can have her own concert with millions of her fans. And we think this is achievable and think the effect on our senses will be unimaginable. Next, I'm going to talk about what I learned through the process. Well, people in the industry may ask, how can high school students like me contribute to a team? Well, I'm very proud to say that we together throw in ideas. We inspire each other, we dream, and we make things come true. When teams come together to talk about a topic, it's surprising how ideas may sparkle and bounce around. We notice the small details that make the character attractive, and we see the things that need to be avoided to make things less awkward. And I think, we look at a character very thoroughly because it's our passion to bring them to life. But of course, there are a lot of obstacles that we have to overcome as high school students. As a high school student like me, I have to prioritize my schoolwork, which spares me little time for the production process. But I'm very proud to do something that I love and passionate about during my time. And I think being able to manage my time is very crucial for my personal development. The second thing is that I may be biased. Since people all have their preferences, it's very possible that I only represent a small part of the adolescents group. And for this, I'm gathering information as I can to eliminate the bias. For example, I ask people all around their favorite characters, their favorite anime, and their favorite plot to get a conclusion from what may be the general trend of the public. I go online to see the comments on people's certain topics, whether they like it or not, and see if it should be added to our project or removed. Also, we go and see how the new release anime may influence the trend, how people's tastes have shifted from time to time, or people tend to focus on one topic that they really love about. Being able to analyze these makes me more experienced. Yeah. Also, like, the third difficulty is that we are not as experienced, and there are a lot of things that we lack of. Since it is a business, there are fields that we are not familiar with that we have to learn. But I think with the help of Mr. Hiroki, my parents, and the hard work, we're able to overcome these obstacles. Yeah, and wait, no, that's not it. Yeah. I think like the most valuable thing that I witnessed is how business functions in real life. The down-to-earth real-life applications, not only as series or case studies on a textbook. I think I learned how the elements to make my characters interesting. And I think I'm really appreciated to be involved in all kinds of activities, such as traveling to Chongqing and Japan. I attended multiple business meetings, and just right now, sharing my experience with you. I learned how anime functions as a business, and how it branches into other businesses with unlimited possibilities. Lastly, I think it will be a great chance for high school students to experience and learn through these experiences, and will create memorable memories. And I think through these experiences, we as high school students learn and experience. Also, I think it will contribute to the future of technology, culture, and the art of the modern world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I thank the Ministry of Culture for letting Jonathan speak today. I think this is very important. Back then when I was in high school, or even in junior high school, I always dreamed about having my voice heard in the productions of the animes or the game I loved. And I was really confident that my ideas were the best at that time, and I could beat any adult ideas at the time. So one day, I really wanted to have a young group, the young audience, really get involved in the production. And this is probably the first time we're able to do this with the understanding with our clients and our partners to really have these young voices to be heard in the production team. So, like I said, I don't think the audience is audiences anymore. They could be potential talents, artists, and they like to be heard, which they have right now through like mobile technologies. They could present themselves through Facebook, Instagram. And now, plus we want to invite these people into the production side, get their voices, get their ideas. And this is an experiment that we're doing right now. It might work, it might not, but I think it's worth a try. So I think Jonathan and also his friend Peter, who cannot make it today, really put in a very creative was a creative force into the productions. And these are real voices of our customers who we need to sell to. So we'll see how this production goes. If we see the outputs, we might learn again for the future of our content building. So our future for our business, as we see it, to capture it once again, I think for us, at least for the midterm, it will be virtual characters like from games, from animations. It will be touring around the world. Probably music will be the best format. It could be plays, but I think music will be a driving force to promote this worldwide. And this will be fully interactive using the real-time capture technologies. It will be live performances, real humans. It will be virtual characters on the stage. And we will blend the virtual and the real on stage. And also, we'll bring the audiences also onto the stage and the production side. So we'll be mixing everything together using new technologies. And we could be wrong, and we could be right, but I think we'll give it a try. We work the future. We are DMM Futureworks. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. K.